Welcome back. Welcome back to each other's soulmates. This is Bella Ivy and
This is Tina.
hello. Once again, we are a Sex in the City broadcast. We are two broads talking about our four favorite broads in New York City. Today, we are talking season 1, episode 7, The Monogamists.
Yep. Today's basic main topic is monogamy. And we got a whole bunch of different perspectives on what that means to different people. And with that, let's just go ahead and dive in. The first scene of this episode, we have Carrie and Big, and we kind of see their infatuation period, or otherwise like the honeymoon stage. That beginning of the relationship when you're so just like infatuated with that other person you can't even like really see straight. You know,
There's no red flags.
none yet.
There's none.
No.
Everything's green right now.
And I in this scene, she has a really cool quote that I liked. It was, "I realized that Einstein's law of relativity would have to be amended to include a special set of rules, those to explain the peculiar effects of infatuation."
And what a great line from Carrie. I love when the writing is like real, like when they include the writing of her being a writer and you're like, damn, she nailed that one.
Yeah,
You
she
know, sometimes there's those like hard hitters. So, but yeah,
yeah,
it's like, isn't it like a slight montage of them like
yeah,
going through like the city and walking around and being
and just
all
being all like
gazing at each other?
other. And it's so
Yeah.
funny because you can tell, like, in some of these scenes that, the people walking around them were just people walking around in New York because they're all just
Mhm.
like looking behind them, like, y'all good? Like, it's really cute, just watching them because they're just like making out in the middle of downtown New York, and it's, yeah, real reactions from that. And in the next scene, we have Carrie on the phone with Miranda. And, Miranda called her and she's making it clear like they haven't spoken in a while. And it's like that moment when you realize like you forgot about your friends for like a while and you haven't talked to them in a while because you just started this new relationship. And you
Mhm.
know how that goes. It's like you're
Absolutely.
so enamored with this person. Everything is so new and it's
Oh,
just like
yeah.
you
I
can't
feel like
really
that's
do much
normal.
else. Yeah.
That's normal. You're like 2 weeks in, you're like, you where have they been? And then you're like, oh, they've been seeing someone. It's like they're probably all,
Yeah. Like been
in and
just
out of the bedroom, out and around on the town. So,
like, and in this conversation with Carrie and Miranda, they decide they're gonna go to dinner that evening, and Carrie's just like, "Oh, like Mr. Big had dinner plans anyways with like his work or
mhm.
something." So she's like, "Well, he had work plans anyways, so yeah, I can hang out." And it's kind of like, so you can hang out because he's busy.
Mhm.
It's like not like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, let me make time for my friends." It's like,
Yeah.
oh, my man is busy. Let me come see my friend.
Yeah.
It's like,
Sometimes it's hard to do that prioritization because it is new, and when it's new, you
yeah,
want to spend time, you want to make them feel important, you want to be like all in the beginning, and then you're like, oh shit. You're like, yeah,
yeah,
I
I
have other priorities too.
like,
But that honeymoon phase is like, is what we're talking about. It can be so very like, what's that word? Just
all
ugh,
encompassing.
all encompassing, just like you're just very soaked in it. Like
Yeah,
it's just, you're
very,
there, like damn quicksand sometimes.
yeah, that's a good way
Yeah.
to put it. And then,
Yeah.
okay, so we go to the next scene, and it's the girls at dinner, and they're all catching up with Carrie because like they haven't seen her in a while. So we see Miranda's doing great in her career. Samantha's currently obsessed with finding a new apartment, and Charlotte was practically engaged.
Practically engaged.
Uh, but there is one catch to Charlotte's man. So she's
They
explaining,
said he's damn near perfect too. The
yeah,
girls
like
were like,
Dan
he's perfect. Everything's perfect about him.
comes from a
Even his fucking
family.
dog.
His dog is perfect. We got
Yeah.
Butterscotch. Was she like golden retriever?
Butterscotch is a golden retriever, and we will see her
She
in the
is
show.
important. Don't forget Butterscotch. And So we pan over to, they're talking about Charlotte's new man, and Charlotte's
Mm-hmm.
talking about this interaction she had had with them when they were at I think they're at his apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah,
and
Butterscotch is
basically,
there.
yeah, Butterscotch there with them, and they're making out, and it's, they're into it. But then his hand finds its way on top of her head and starts
Mm-hmm.
pushing down. If you
Mm-hmm. The
know what,
forbidden dance.
yeah, yeah,
It's the forbidden dance.
it's the blowjob tug of war.
Tug of war. Yep.
So it's that moment where you're making out with a guy and they just start pressing their hand on your head to push you down. Like that's the way to tell
Yeah.
someone, okay, I'm ready for my blowjob now.
They're
Like
asking without asking.
without asking, without
Um
actual communication.
isn't that isn't that interesting how that's like a really common shared experience? I feel like
Yeah,
this is something that still happens all the
yeah,
time when it could just be like a discussion. Because I mean, I get it because sometimes people, I think talking breaks the mood sometimes for
yeah.
people. So I can see why maybe men do that. But it's just kind of like, I, I feel like there's
Oh,
a way to like talk about that. And like what I've experienced too, not only with like the head pushing, it's like the hand to the pant. They're like, here. I'm like,
let me
oh,
you.
I didn't know I was shaking hands today. Like, I had no idea I was supposed to meet someone else tonight, but thank you. Good to know.
Literally,
Thanks
and
a lot.
like, dude, you're hurting my neck. Like, and
Yeah,
anyway,
and I have a fucked up neck. So
yeah. So
mind
don't fuck
mind
with
your
that.
business.
uh, so he starts pushing on Charlotte's head, and she says no, like nicely. She says no.
Hmm.
He says, "Come on." Like immediately, I would get up and leave. But this is still the '90s, I guess. So this isn't that much of a red flag yet.
I
Um,
guess.
so yeah, no, I just feel like if you have to say come on during sex or like try to push
To
it,
be semi coerced. I mean,
yeah,
I can see that too because some people like have insecurities of like, oh, maybe like for whatever reason, right? Oh, what if I do this or what if I do that or what if it's bad or people have whatever and like sometimes they need a little bit of encouragement to feel comfortable to do something different.
but
So I
like
can kind of see that, but
but like saying come on to the word no is a bit much, right?
I don't know because in my
Well,
experience sometimes I do like I'm like, "Oh, I don't know," and it's like,
yeah,
"Oh, come on." And sometimes I'm like that verbal reassurance. I'm like, "Well, okay." Or it's like,
but
like sometimes you
yeah,
need that little bit of banter to feel comfortable, especially me, like I'm like that. But it's one thing if it was like a flat hard no. If it was like when you're like, "No, I don't do that." And then if you want to coerce, that's different. But if it's kind of like if you can see there's just slight hesitation, I
yeah,
can see why maybe that's a little bit more of a comfortable conversation.
I can see that. And so back to it. Yeah, so he says come on, and then the women they begin discussing each of their own views on giving blowjobs. So
Mm-hmm.
we have like, you know, was it like Charlotte doesn't like to give head. She won't give head. Miranda only gives head to get head.
Get it.
She only gives head, but she'll get head in return. Samantha loves it because, and then Carrie's like, it's not my favorite thing on the menu, but I'll order it from time to time. I'm
Well,
like,
what Samantha says is the sense of power is such a turn
oh,
on. Maybe you're on your knees, but you got him by the balls. That's Samantha's actual take from it. So,
that's what it
which is
was.
such a Samantha move.
It's one of my favorites of the show.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so they're all just talking about their different views on giving men head. And, vows of friendship renewed. They're all like caught up with each other's
Yeah, they're all caught up.
in the restaurant, and they see Mr. Big at another table.
Hmm.
So Carrie's like, I'm gonna go say hi. And they're just like, don't ditch us, dude. That would be like super lame. And she's like, I'm not gonna ditch you. So she goes over to go talk to him because she's like, oh, he's at his little business dinner meeting. And lo and
Or
behold,
so she thought.
yeah, so she thought. So she gets there and she realizes this man is on a date. This man that she was so infatuated with that was it Einstein's law of relativity would have to be amended. He's on a date with another woman named Julia. And remember that name.
Does he say I've never made the correlate we're gonna that's I didn't know that. Keep going though.
So hold on to
Wow.
remember
Hold
Julia.
on to that thought. Remember that name.
And basically Carrie's like what the fuck, dude? Like you're on a date with another woman and he's just like so he does not let her confront him. He's like, let's talk about this on Saturday because they have a planned date for Saturday. She's just like, you know, she says it herself, like, they've never discussed exclusivity.
Yeah.
At this point, they've kind of been dating for like a few weeks or so. Like, they
Mm-hmm.
obviously they've like slept together, they've like hung out a few times, but they still haven't discussed being exclusive. And it kind of
Mm-hmm.
makes me wonder, like, what point in a relationship should you discuss that? And like how important is it to have this conversation at like how early on, you know?
Right. I think, well, one, I think it's the initial what you want kind of thing. So if there's one party that's wanting monogamy and wanting that kind of like relationship or exclusivity, I feel like the person wanting that is usually the one to ask or to bring it up. I feel like if there's another party who's nonchalant about it, it might not ever be a discussion. Or two people may be on the same page, right? They meet each other, they really like each other, and they're like, oh, this is nice. Like, and then you have the like back in the day, I feel like this is more of a discussion, but I feel like nowadays it's not utilized of the whole, you know what, like let's not see other people anymore. I rarely hear that ever being utilized. It's almost like, I don't know, like hidden or taboo. But I don't know, I think off the bat it should be at least like kind of mentioned, like, hey, what is this, like, is this
Like
just gonna be this, like,
by like the first date, the first month, like what do you think of as far as like a timeline?
as far as a timeline, I don't know. I think it varies person by person too, because I
Yeah,
think it's all about the intention of what you want. Because you can meet someone and know, like, hey, I just want you for sex, or you can
yeah,
meet someone and be like, I like this as a date. Like, I actually like you as a person. I don't want this to maybe be just sex.
yeah,
Um, and just kind of vibing it out with that person. Regardless, I think communication in any sense of the form, anytime is good. I
yeah,
think it should just be talked about, especially if it's something. I don't know. I don't know why people are scared to talk about it, like especially if they don't want monogamy. Like maybe they're scared that person's going to go away, or I don't know what it is, but it's like, say it. Like, how hard is
yeah,
it to be like, "Hey, like you're a cool person and all, but like I just don't really want a relationship, but I really enjoy hanging out with you. If you're fine with that, I would love to continue to hang out with you," kind of thing. Or it's like, "Oh,
yeah,
if you really want a relationship, then I'm really sorry. Like I that's not something I can give you right now. Like if you're comfortable, great. If you're not comfortable, like, nice to meet you," kind of thing. I
yeah,
just feel like that level of communication is kind of hard to come by now. I feel like maybe back then it would have, I don't know. I don't know. It's always complicated. It's definitely always a song and dance. I think women are scared to ask sometimes because of like losing the person. I think that happens a lot. They're like, "Oh, I met someone and I really want it to work," kind of thing. And it's like, sometimes it's not going to. Sometimes you're just not on the same page. And that's okay. Like, save yourself the time and the effort, So it's hard. It's a very tricky, complex, I think, with dating sometimes.
yeah. It's really tricky to say that because I also feel like for certain people, like it's like you can scare people off by trying to have this conversation too early. But at that same rate, if you're trying to have this conversation and that scares them off, that tells you what you need to know, you know?
That's true. That's true.
Like,
If you have that conversation
yeah,
and then it gets weird, or
then
then
that,
there's your answer.
yeah, that is what it is. Like, take the actions for what they're worth. Don't just be like, well, they're a great person. Like, it could be
Yeah,
great.
don't make excuses. Yeah, no,
Anyway,
actions speak louder than words, 100% when it comes to things like this, especially
yeah,
too. It's like people's actions will show what they want, you know.
yeah.
You kind of have to run with it. So,
See it to believe it, you know?
yeah.
But, so they have the conversation, like, or they haven't had the conversation yet.
Mhm.
Um, you know, and she just kind of goes back to her apartment after that. She doesn't really address it with him. She just kind of like leaves. She's like, well, have a good dinner. Bye.
Stews with it. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Like goes to her apartment, is like angrily smoking a cigarette while she's like walking around her apartment. I always wondered like what that apartment smelled like personally.
Cigarettes.
Yeah, cigarettes.
Cigarettes. 100%.
That's what I always imagined.
Cigarettes in the 90s. That's what it smells like.
And while she's like angrily smoking her cigarette, she asks like, do men have an innate aversion to monogamy, or is it more than that? In a city like New York, with its infinite possibilities, has monogamy become too much to expect? And that kind of like plays into what you were saying, you know, has monogamy
Mhm.
become too much to expect?
Especially the fact that this was a discussion back then, I get it.
Before dating
Now it's
apps
almost like,
stuff,
yeah,
like,
now it's like crazy. It's very, and
yeah,
it's like, it's not everyone, but honestly, like me being single and dating, it's very rare. It's very rare you meet someone who's like, you know what? This is great. I want an exclusive relationship. And there's what?
oh, I was saying, like, this is great. Let's do it again. Like,
Really, like, you know, and it's just kind of like it's very rare to come by, which is fine, I guess, you know, if like as long as there's a conversation, I think that that's totally fine, but I definitely feel like there is a lack of like of men specifically wanting monogamy, or I don't know, maybe women too. I haven't really talked much to single gals like lately,
I don't
you
know.
know, and see.
Like,
Yeah, I'm actually really curious. Like,
like,
both of my best friends are married, so it's like I'm like I'm just trying it out over here. So
but that is a good question. Like, has monogamy become too much to expect?
actually, though, that has kind of been discussed in like other podcasts and things with men specifically.
Yeah,
I hear a lot of men say like, and this may be like an extremism take, but I do hear a lot of men who are like, "Oh, men should innately not be monogamous because they're like biologically speaking want to plant their seed everywhere." And I'm just like, okay, maybe back in like biblical times, but it's like I think we're a little more refined now, and it should be a bit of a conversation if you that is the case, you know. But some men are like some men believe like men should cheat because that's the way we're wired, and I'm like, this sounds like a shitty excuse, but
yeah.
maybe who knows? Who
It's like,
knows?
well,
At this point,
so I'm bound to cheat. It's like, no,
oh
you're the
god,
master of your own destiny. Like, these
yeah.
are decisions that you're making, and cheating doesn't happen in one moment. Cheating is a few things that accumulated to occur.
Oh yeah. You don't just slip it in. Like they're like, "Oh, my pants fell down." And
Mag-
hers did too. Magic.
magically, like, no, no. But
Mm-mm.
next scene, we have interviews of New York people. And it's that, like, you know, breaks the fourth wall, talking straight to the camera interview style that we love in this first season. And, you know, we, we get a few more perspectives of monogamy, which are really fun. So, first guy's like, you know, yeah, I'm monogamous with my wife. Like, we've been married for years, but my definition of monogamy includes having sex with prostitutes. You know, that was his version.
That's their definition.
That's their definition. That's what works for them. And, you know, we love sex workers, like, just doing their thing, making their money, be safe. Like, you know, just if that's what it is, then that's
Yeah.
what it is. And then we got 90s gay monogamy. So we have this guy who comes in and he's like, me and my partner, we have sex with other people, but we don't exchange fluids or phone numbers. So you
Love that.
and you don't call them back.
I kind of love that. I mean, that's not for me, but I love the whole idea of it all.
Yeah, it's an interesting like concept of like,
Yeah.
and also it's like I feel like in that he doesn't really say, but like it kind of seems like it's like keep it to yourself. Don't like put me in
Yeah.
danger and don't keep up with them. Like I'm your relationship, which is kind of
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And then we got this one
That's
girl.
kind of like an open relationship,
Yeah,
right? That would be
yeah,
like what's nowadays termed as like an open relationship.
yeah. Actually,
I don't know the
like
dynamics, a lot of that. I don't know a lot of people who have been in open relationships, but I feel like that's a similar take. As long as you're being responsible and like safe, and it's like, oh, I'm not coming home tonight, or like, I guess, I don't know. I feel like there's maybe rules and contracts that have to be signed
well,
out before that.
I'm sure that each couple has to work that out between them. I don't know if they all like
Yeah, of course.
sign it or anything. But that'd be kind of like fun to bring to a notary, right?
Dude, seriously, I would love
Become a
that.
notary just to do that. Um,
Good idea. Side
and then
hustle.
we have a girl who honestly, like, I love her. She's so cute. She says that monogamy gives you a deep and profound connection to another human being. Plus, you don't have to shave your legs as much, which we love
Word.
for her. And then the last guy is so funny. He's like, "Of
I
course."
love this part.
Why? What have you heard?
Okay, dude, don't incriminate yourself in this interview.
Like,
God.
look concerned, like, oh shit, they know. Like Cheaters is about to jump out behind the camera.
They should. I want. That show's not still running, but it should be.
I miss that show. I'd watch
I
that.
want like online cheaters, like where they investigate like via Instagram profiles and stuff.
Honestly, who would be
Should
so
we
good?
pitch that?
Let's do it.
I want MTV to have a resurgence so bad. I want Room Raiders back. I want parental control back. I want Next back.
Next,
I want everything back,
I
dude.
want. What was it? Flavor of Love? No, that's VH1.
Oh,
That was a whole
well,
other thing.
but kind
Anyway,
of in the similar,
yeah, realm.
times. But yeah, I really miss early 2000s TV. Oh my god. We
Yeah,
need to
really.
do online cheaters. Okay, someone out there who does this, let us do this. Please, we'd be so good at it. I'm practically the FBI. So,
It really is. Like,
please.
so
Anyway.
episode. Now we have like as what I said before, Samantha spends this episode looking for a really good apartment. She's just
Mhm.
obsessed with the idea of finding a really good place to live. And so she's there with her real estate agent checking out an apartment, and her real estate agent's showing her like an extremely expensive looking apartment. And like just wildly expensive, like
Nice
amazing
view.
view, open layout, like the whole shebang. She's like, well, I can't really afford it, and she's just like really kind of trying to show off to Samantha that this lady knows all the good places. Like she has
Yeah.
contacts, and she's like just telling Samantha like, I'll do whatever you want. Like I'll work with you, give you whatever you want, but like just don't work with somebody else. Don't get another agent. Just only work with me. So this
Yeah.
estate agent is asking for Samantha to be monogamous with her in their business relationship. But Samantha doesn't believe in monogamy, especially with at least
Of
not at
course
this
not.
point. And you know, although the female real estate agent had better contacts and like better apartments to show her, the male real estate agent allowed her to combine her two greatest loves.
Sex and real estate.
Boom. Which we love her.
Oh, Samantha. Yeah, because I think they just like walk into a new place, like,
He
and
shows
it's
her
her shows her around, and then like in the midst of everything, clothes are off, and I think they're fucking in what would be the kitchen.
Yeah.
So
So all these apartments he's showing her to like check out, they fucking each one of them. It's really funny. Um,
honestly, hot.
yeah,
Honestly,
like
hot. That's
seriously. Um, and so we pan over to the next scene, and Carrie is at lunch with Stanford, and she meets Jared.
Hmm.
So we start off the scene, and Stanford is mentioning how monogamy is on its way out. So he's saying that it had a brief comeback in the 90s, but as the millennium approaches, he feels like it's going to be on its way out as the millennium comes in, which is an interesting take because like this came out like 98, 99. And so this
Yeah.
was like the turn of the century, like they were coming into this new millennium, and like that's kind of more or less what ended up happening. He was kind of right. Like it's a lot
Actually,
less
very
mainstream
true.
to be an adult and be monogamous, at least from what we see, from our perspective
Yeah.
of the world.
Yeah.
But, we talk about that, and then in comes Jared, and
Hmm.
Jared is a young, hot man in his 30s. I mean, I'm sorry, in his 20s. And he just lays it on heavy with Carrie. He's flirting with her like crazy,
Oh
mentioning that
yeah.
uh, Stanford mentions that Jared just got voted in New York one of the 30 coolest people under 30, which is huge. And
Right.
he's just all over Carrie, invites her to this big party that's happening the next night at an exclusive club for 20 somethings. And, she's getting all this attention, but Carrie's just like, I used to love it when men would flirt with me during their 15 minutes of fame, like I
Hmm.
it, but it just felt exhausting because it wasn't.
Because it wasn't the person that she wanted it from. That's how it goes sometimes.
And
That
is
is how
that
it
how
goes
it goes
sometimes.
sometimes? That like you're gonna receive the like it's like like if I just can't like I'm sorry.
It's
I,
I mean it's true though.
yeah,
When you meet someone you like, and especially if it's not been discussed or it's something that the other party does not want, and you're like, shit, you're like, I
yeah,
like this person, this is what I wanted, and now I have to kind of just deal with it, or be sad about it or whatever, like
yeah.
thanks
Like
for the
you get
flirt,
text
homie,
and
but
like
like
you're so excited to get that text and you realize it's like not the person you wanted. It's like
that
forget.
is like the biggest fucking letdown. I
Yeah,
prom. It's like I literally like it's like my phone will go off and it's like Uber Eats with like a fucking 20% discount for Subway delivery. And I'm like,
literally.
honestly, I'll take you up for it. I would love a $5 fucking foot long right now.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
I feel that when I first started dating my husband, I literally put his own ringtone on his messages because I was like, I'd get pissed when somebody else messaged me. I was like, why isn't it
You
him?
that's really clever. I literally only have I only have you're the only person I have like a designated ringtone for.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah, it is the Sex and the City theme song. And I think I've mentioned that before, but it happened the other day in the car and you're like, "Oh." I was like, "I told you, like it's literally been that for
Like, I
years."
hear myself calling you.
That's true. That's true. I couldn't find my phone in the car. It was on the floor.
And then back to the thing. We have Carrie in her apartment, and Big calls her. And they hadn't spoken in several days, like since she
Since
was
they ran into each other.
dinner with Julia. Um, and he's just like being really sweet, which is kind
Of
of
course,
like,
because he fucked up.
yeah,
Because he realized he fucked up.
yeah, and it's like he's being way sweeter than normal too, and it's kind of funny because like he's like, hey, I'm just making sure we're still on for Saturday, and she's like, of course, why wouldn't we be? shit. Like, I didn't mean to come off like that. She's trying to play it cool, but she came off shrill.
Yeah.
And
It's
he's
so
like,
hard.
and I'm
Oh,
like,
he says I miss you, baby,
yeah,
right?
I miss you, baby.
He's he
Yeah.
says I miss you, baby. Dude, the fucking pet names, like I don't feel more special if you call me baby or babe if there's not a conversation about what we are. Like don't fucking I first of all, I can't stand terms of endearment sometimes. I don't like being called babe and baby's okay, but like anything else, I get disgusting. What happened today? Someone was all like, "Oh, like no problem, sunshine." I was like, ugh, unmatched.
Oh my gosh, I
Like,
can't. Like,
no.
yeah. I especially can't stand it when you don't know them at all like that. It's like you're just kind of talking for the first time.
Right, especially if it's like brand new. I'm like, no one likes terms of endearment that early. Like,
No,
no one does. I
we
think
don't
that's
know
so strange.
that. Like, if you
Yeah,
you can say that. Like,
not even.
yeah,
I don't know. There's just, I don't know. I don't know why I feel like that's so extra personal. You know?
yeah.
I don't even like being called my own name. I'm like, just refer to me as it until I feel comfortable.
Not even them, just it, that,
Just that's over there,
that
that
thing
bitch,
over
that yeah, that thing over there, her.
there, that one.
Mm-hmm.
So then we have Carrie and Miranda next scene, and they're at dinner and they're doing what we all do. Like, you get a confusing message from the person you're into. Best friend, what do you think
The
about
recall.
it? Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to like go over with it. Like, what was the body language? What were they wearing? What did facial expressions did they have? And you break it down with that person just to.
Why do we do this as women? We
I
tear into the smallest of text messages, the smallest of meanings, the smallest of anything. We have to dissect it like a fucking seventh grade fucking frog, dude. It's like inevitable. We just do that. We get a text and it can just say like talk to you later and we're like what does this mean? Why did we're always finding separate meanings when they're like talk to you later. And we're like no, what
like
does this mean? This has to be more.
no. But she kind of just like asks Miranda if she thinks that this is just like his way of like apologizing without apologizing, you know? Like, he's gonna be extra nice to her, but he won't apologize for hurting her feelings. And that sucks, you know?
Yeah.
But then, so like, okay, in this scene, I feel like it was extremely self aware and then it dropped it. So
Mhm.
she's kind of like asking Miranda like all these questions and like, what does this mean? What does that mean? And she's just like, well, do you think like he was trying to say sorry without saying sorry? And she's like, well, I don't know. Like, maybe.
Mhm.
She's like, but that would mean that everything that she's ever interpreted as sincere is subject to interpretation. And in
Right.
that case, what I perceive as his feelings for me may only be reflected projections of my feelings for him.
Which she says in the episode before.
He literally says that. And
She,
I feel like she was onto something with that.
yeah.
But then they drop it off because she says it really quickly. And then
Mhm.
like, what? And then she's like, I don't know, I'm being crazy. And then they move on. And I'm like,
But
that was
she's
the
not
most
being
sense
crazy. That was
thing.
actually the most self-aware thing Carrie said in like the entire series so far again because she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh shit, maybe I'm doing some extra level of projecting. Maybe I'm starting to
Yeah.
realize that this guy's just being this guy and I'm kind of
Yeah.
overthinking and I'm getting like hyped on this shit."
Like, she's like literally just blowing everything up into proportion. Like,
Psychologically speaking, this is like a perfect representation of an anxious attachment style. Like she's the perfect definition for this in this relationship with him.
yeah.
It's if you want to figure that out, if you share similar experiences with Carrie, you might want to look into anxious attachment styles and how to work with that, because that's
Just
what's
check it
going
out.
on here. Which
Training.
is, there's nothing wrong with that,
No,
obviously, but it's
nothing.
like, if you're aware of how you are with people, it gets better to
Yeah.
not fix things, but how molding, getting to at least more secure attachment, figuring out if this is the right person for you, the right situation to be in for you, to be healthy. But that's
But
just my thing, because I feel like this is a very prevalent trope, I think, currently with women and men. um and it breaks my heart to see it so often. But yeah, it's like, you don't have to be waiting around for a guy to text you or give you validation. Like, you cannot do that. You don't have to be waiting by the phone. You don't have to be waiting for a text. I know how hard it is. I struggle with the same kinds of things, but I promise you, it doesn't have to eat you alive.
yeah. And on that note, just to kind of tag it onto there, no way was that meant to be shaming if you are in an anxious attachment style.
Not
Like,
at all.
like just learn about
Not
yourself.
at all. Yeah, I think you waver with them too. I don't always think it's something that stays constant in your life. I think that you could go from secure to anxious avoidant to avoidant, and back and forth and back and forth. It changes actually on how you deal with relationships and what relationships you do go through. It's just a part of life. So, but it can be very painful. So if that's something you want to not experience, look into that. There's nothing wrong with being more self-aware and doing things to better yourself and your mental health.
Absolutely. And speaking of mental health, I'm gonna need some. Um, so at Carrie and Miranda's dinner, in comes Skipper and Allison.
Oh, Skipper.
If you've been watching or you've seen the show, you know that Skipper is a younger man. Actually, he's like our age, a little tiny bit
Mm-hmm.
younger. Um, and he's dating Miranda, who is about 33 right now. So she's
Yeah,
about
33, 34.
her. And they dated for a little bit. It did not work out, and they met through Carrie. And this is like probably like months and months after they broke up.
Mm-hmm.
So Skipper comes in with Allison, and he's just super friendly, like, hey, like I'm on a date, like, how's it going? Like, Carrie's my friend. And Miranda has like a shit attitude that's like barely covered up the entire
Oh
time.
yeah.
I fucking hate that energy, but like,
It's
okay,
crazy how abrasive she gets. So like, they come up, what's her name? Allison, that's the girl, and they're just talking about their day. They're like, "Oh, we went here, it was really nice. What a great exhibit, or what a great show. You guys should totally check it out. This was awesome." She mentions, oh, she sees Carrie and she's like, "Oh my god, we love your work at Vogue." So then we find out she just runs
she's
something
in
at
design.
Vogue, right? She's a what?
She's in designer relations at Vogue.
Right. And so she, like, gives compliments to Carrie, and Miranda's like, "Oh, you work at Vogue?" And she's like, "Yeah." Just she's just being very friendly, right? And so, and then they end up like leaving, right? And then
Yeah.
Miranda goes, "Who is that self-important bitch?" Like, whoa.
Yeah.
First of all, you don't even like Skipper, dude. You don't even like him.
She, if I remember correctly, she dumped him, and
Yes. She
was
did not like that
no,
man at
you're
all.
no,
Exactly. And then
no,
she's all like,
because
"Ugh, who's he
never.
with?"
Yeah, she was pissed that he was with somebody else, and I'm pissed that he looked happy with her. And after
Right.
she says that, she's like, I didn't think that was his type. And Carrie's like, well, no, Miranda, you're his type, but you dumped him. Like,
Yeah.
think.
I can't
And
get
he,
behind that attitude. I
ew,
can't.
like, ends the scene like, I wonder if he's been working out. Like, he looks good. And
Bitch,
I'm like,
no,
get
he
the
hasn't.
fuck out of here right now.
No,
Like,
he hasn't. Skipper has
I,
not been working out. He's been sitting at his computer desk. That's
yeah.
what he's been fucking doing.
And it's just like, it's a weird situation. But it's like, Have you ever found yourself in one of those situations, like where you're the Miranda or the Skipper or the Allison?
Oh, probably all three,
I
honestly.
situation
You,
where
you
you're like
what?
two friends to date each other, it didn't work out, and then they like afterwards it's like, oh shit, like you still gotta hang out with both of them.
I don't, has that ever happened to me? Maybe. I can't remember. It's been so long.
But anyways, as Skipper and Allison, they take off, and Miranda and Carrie finish their dinner. And after dinner, so
Oh
Skipper and
no.
Allison go home. And, you know, what do you
Ugh.
do after a date when you've been dating someone for a while?
You go
You,
home and fuck.
you fuck, right? And so it's like a scene of them at one of their apartments, probably it's his apartment actually. And, they're making out, they're going to the bed. He pulls his pants off and he doesn't even get them all the way off. And he like slides into her and they're,
Also,
huh?
I said hot.
Yeah.
Still having a
It's
little bit of
super
clothes
hot.
on.
Like they're like they can't control it. They're like want each other and you can feel it.
Oh
And
yeah.
they like the phone starts ringing and they're letting it go. They're still having sex.
Obviously.
And then so back in the 90s, if you didn't know, we had answering machines. And answering machines was like it was like the voicemail box on your phone.
Yes. Hmm.
It was like the voicemail on your phone.
That's all it was.
That's all it was. That's all that machine did. So it would play the message out loud in the room so everybody can hear it on
Like
speak.
live. So
Like
like
live,
that person was like actually on the line
placing
still
the message.
giving the message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's hearing the message. They're hearing the message as they're having sex.
Hmm.
And it's Miranda. And as
Of course it
Skipper
is.
hears Miranda's voice, he stops kissing Allison. And like Miranda's just like starts off like, oh, it was so good to see you, and you look great, and I don't know if you're doing anything, but I'd love to see you sometime. And as she says that, he rips the phone up and picks it up and starts talking to her. It's like, oh, hey, and basically they decide to meet up soon, and he's like, I'll talk to you soon, bye.
This is all while he is still inside of Allison.
Allison is still there, just
Allison is laying there
inside of her
being
and
penetrated,
being penetrated actively. And he
and
just
he is on the phone making another date.
breaks
A
up with
moment of silence for Allison.
yeah. Moment of silence for Allison.
So yeah. Because damn.
Yeah. I can't
Damn.
damn. So
That's rough, dude. I can't even imagine that happening.
yeah, and then breaks up with her while he's still inside of her.
While still inside of her. And she says it. She's like, "Are you breaking up with me while you're still inside of me?" Men never cease to amaze me.
The immortal words of Allison. Are you breaking up while you're still inside of me?
Poor girl, man. She'll have the best story though, like
No,
for the
I know.
rest of her life.
That is
It's rough.
That is rough. But next scene. We kind of do this like montage of Charlotte and Samantha, and it's this idea of like embracing fidelity versus flaunting infidelity. So we have Charlotte, who was on a walk with her dude, her nearly perfect man, although Butterscotch isn't there. And
Butterscotch.
they're walking together, and he asks her to be monogamous with him. And
He says that. He says, "I think we should stop seeing other people. that beautiful infamous line that is never really spoken nowadays, that apparently was spoken all throughout the 90s, but I never hear that shit.
I think when it happened with me, my husband said, "Can we go steady?" He went,
Oh, what in the 1955 is that? I love it. It's
it
cute. It's so retro.
was.
Oh, I
It,
would die if a man like gave me a ring and was like, "Please wear this on your necklace because we're going steady." My fucking like 60s dreams would be so. Oh god, my grandma would talk about that. She's like, "That's what you did," or like you'd have like he'd give you something and you'd wear it, and like that was a sign of like that's who you were with. And I was like, how fucking precious, because nowadays I can't even get a text back.
Standards are so different now. They really
It's
are.
insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Oh my gosh, it is so insane. But, Charlotte gets what she wants. She gets commitment from this man who I refuse to learn his name. I just know him as a head pusher.
I forgot. I think it was
Yeah,
it Nathan or something? I was
who
gonna
cares?
mention it and I totally forgot in the beginning.
Who cares? He's the head pusher, and the only redeeming
He's the
quality
head pusher.
is his dog
Is
Butterscotch.
Butterscotch.
And then, so on the flip side of things, we have Samantha, who's flaunting her infidelity. So it's a montage of her, going from apartment to apartment with this guy and having sex in the different parts, which epic, dude. Like, you go,
Oh
girl.
yeah.
Can you imagine? Like, that sounds like,
Fucking in a bunch of empty
God.
apartments.
Like, yeah, like, anyways, I think it's cool. Like, good for her,
Oh
and,
yeah.
you know, they're just having fun, but remember, they are keeping that relationship a secret from her other real estate agent.
Mm-hmm. She cheating
So
on her.
he's cheating on her, that's for sure. And then we pan over back to Carrie and Mr. Big, and they're on their big date, the one that, was they were waiting for to talk about everything
Mm-hmm.
wrong and all that. And they go to a friend of Mr. Big's, Max, and they get to the party. They're both dressed really well. It's obviously really like wealthy person's apartment. It's not just like, a house party. Um, and a woman comes in and kisses Mr. Big on the lips as Carrie is standing there holding his hand. What would you do if you were on a date?
I'm from Marbach. That's all I'm gonna say, because if I'm holding a dude's hand and you're gonna do some fuck shit like that right in front of me, first of all, that's a sign of disrespect. I don't
Yeah.
know you. I don't know where the fuck you're from. I'm holding my dude's hand. I don't care if we are monogamous or fucking not right now. That's disrespectful as shit.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you're whatever, like, you're gonna I'm grabbing you by your goddamn hair. I don't care what fucking party I'm at. Fuck you.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that's, and like how could you be so comfortable to do something like that? And it's almost like that was done out of like spite. She's like, "Oh, there's this dude. I haven't really heard from him since the last time we hung out or whatever." Dude,
Get the
just
fuck
the
out.
thoughts. The thoughts riling me up a little.
Do you remember that one time we were at a show and I was literally in a matching costume with my husband, holding hands with him, and a woman came up and asked him to dance?
Was I there?
He might have been at the restroom or something. I don't know if you were there for that moment, but I was
I'm
pissed.
like, I can promise you, if I was there, it would have there would have been a different story.
And I felt so bad for my husband because he was just like horrified, and then like looked at me and was like, and I answered for him. It's like, no. And, and she was just like, oh, I meant you, not him. And I was like, no, no.
You
Like,
didn't go dance with her?
no, she tried to backtrack and act like that's not what she was doing. And I was just like, you just did that. Like, anyways, girls are that bold. They do that.
I've
And
never done that stupid ass shit.
I've
People don't
never
have the
either.
goddamn fucking common sense.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah. But Anyways, uh, yeah, so they run into her and she has his passport. So the girl who kisses Mr. Big on the lips is like, "You still have my passport and I need it back." And then she
Why
takes off.
would you
Mm-hmm.
why would you also hold on to someone's passport like that? I'd be like, I don't want this shit. Like, I'm not trying to steal any identities. Get this shit away from me. I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna drop it off. As if he doesn't have, as if Mr. Big does not even have the resources to put that singular passport in his car, have his driver take it to wherever it needs to go. That is like, he kept that shit for a fucking reason. I promise you that.
That's
I
the
promise you that. And it was to have that bitch come back.
mm-hmm. And
I've
then
done that. I have been in a scenario with that where they leave something behind and that is the fucking, what's the word? What word am I thinking of? That's like the goddamn collateral or something. It's happened before with this most dumb inanimate object, a fan. Oh yeah, no, you can still use it. Oh, but I might come back for it. Oh, but are you still gonna use it? Oh, you know what? I think I want it back. I had that goddamn fan in my stupid fucking apartment for like 6 months. It was gone. I've never seen that fan again.
yeah, fuck that fan.
Bullshit.
Bullshit fan. And speaking of bullshit, so Harry goes up with Mr. Big to go meet Max, the one who threw the party. And Mr. Big introduces her to his friend as, "This is the woman I've been telling you about." And he's like, "Julia."
I have to sit back for that one.
Moment of silence for Carrie in that
Moment of
moment.
silence for Carrie. Rip.
My
So
heart
many
was,
girls taking so many L's this episode, dude. So many L's to the heart, man.
that's monogamy, right?
God.
The lack of. Um,
Telling me.
and yeah, so he introduces her like that, and that's the response. And, you
He's like,
know,
no, Carrie.
oh, this is Carrie. She writes a sex column and like introduces her with the article that she writes. And it
Mm-hmm.
makes me wonder, I wonder if like how often he did that with her. Like if he told people that he was in a relationship with a sex columnist, because that's like pretty hot, like for his like status as a man like in New York
Mm-hmm.
who's like I date these beautiful women. I even date women who write about sex. Like
I could see that. Also, you have to think about New York in the 90s too. New York and art is hand in hand, and that's like I think considered an art form. I think it's considered an art form, so it's kind of like it makes sense. It shouldn't I don't think it shouldn't be that taboo, you know.
yeah, but yeah, no, they start to bicker right in front of him and right in front of Max, the guy who threw the
The
party.
host, yeah.
Yeah, host, and you know, mm,
Oh,
and
she says, "Huh?"
I feel like Carrie kind of started it a little bit
Well,
because
she
the
says, "Are we dating? I thought we were just sleeping together."
yeah,
That's what she says in front of Max.
yeah, and then Mr. Big to Max is not her to Max is like, "Well, I'm sure we won't be doing much of either after tonight."
Ugh, the
Ladies,
tension.
gentlemen, if you are in between or outside of that, if somebody you are dating is making a joke like that at your expense like that, making fun of you like that, do with that what
Yeah,
you will. Maybe don't, but you
yeah.
know, don't let yourself be the butt of somebody's joke like that. That's ugly.
Mm.
Anyways, on that note, yeah, no, they fight at the party. Carrie and Mr. Big fight at the party, which is, not the best look. Um, and she confronts him about how many women he's dating, and he's like sarcastic and gives indirect answers. He just alludes that he's sleeping with a lot of women, like different
Mm-hmm.
in the city. And he even tries to like diffuse the situation, being like, "Can we just like enjoy the party?" I don't know. Not yes, not no, not I need to talk to you later. Just I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he, this line, I've heard this line before. Come on, what do you want from me?
Which she could have just been like, monogamy. You know, she could have been like, hey, I don't want to sleep with other people. I don't want you to sleep with other people. That's what I want. Is
Yeah,
that
but
what you want?
I feel like this is one of those moments where like it went too far, and when he asked
Well,
her
because
that,
she's pissed. Because
yeah,
she's pissed. She's
yeah,
pissed beyond compare. But that could be your moment of like, this just fucking happened. The floodgates have already broken. What the fuck are we doing? And should we even go on from here?
yeah, but she just tells him, "What do I want from you? Nothing. I don't want anything from you." Because I personally took this scene as like a moment of like, if I have to ask you for it, I don't want it anymore. Like,
Always.
I'm not gonna beg you for it.
Always.
Like, don't beg somebody to love you, please. Like,
Yeah, that's hard. That's a hard realization to kind of
and
come
it's a
to.
shitty one too, especially when you really, really, really wanted them. But
Yeah. I
sometimes,
think women, like young women, go through that a lot of like, it's the person you want so bad. And you think that if you try harder, or if you do this, or if you mold to what they want, that it's going to work out.
for those of you who can't see this
No,
now,
you will see. This is 100% in shot.
for those of you just listening,
Oh,
yeah,
exactly. If
uh,
you're just listening,
fellas,
my lovely cat mama is on the back of my chair. This chair is her chair. It's been the day I got it, it got shredded to pieces. Thank God you can't see. If you're just listening, perfect, because then you can't see some more. But she's now at the top of this chair trying to figure out what's going on. And she's never done it on the podcast. Damn it, mama.
oh my gosh.
I knew eventually she was gonna do this. Like, mama looks like a sweet angel. I don't know if you guys do watch, and you'll see her like running back and forth or just like sleeping somewhere. No, that's her 10% of the time. This is her 90% of the fucking time, dude. And I love her to pieces, but my God. Anyway, now
So,
mama has joined the discussion.
thank you, Mama. So Carrie's logic to this situation with Mr. Big at the party is to go to the party that Jared invited her to. You know, the Mr. Cool 30 people under 30. And, you know, she sees Stanford there, and Stanford's like, well, what happened? You were supposed to be on a date. And she's like, he became predictable. Which I love that line because it's like, you know exactly what she means. Like, he became
Mm-hmm.
predictable. Like, yeah. And, you know, it's, yeah, they're at this party now, and like Carrie's like early 30s, Stanford's
Mm-hmm.
probably like late 30s.
Also,
Yeah,
I feel like he's in his like they're probably around the same age,
around
if
his
not a
like
little bit
late
older.
30s.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Carrie's just like saying how at this party where everybody's young and hip and cool, it just monogamy seems like a quaint notion. Like it just seems like, oh, you know, monogamy. Like
How nice.
how
Yeah.
sweet, you know? Um,
God.
and so she's just flirting it up at this party after she got in that huge fight with the guy she actually really wanted to be with. And then we pan over to the next scene, and we have Miranda in bed with Skipper. And what this is like
Of
later
course.
that, so obviously, like, you know, here we
They go
go.
out on their date.
Yeah. And then they're laying in bed together, and it's kind of like this like pillow talk situation where they're just like chatting after making love. And Skipper just tells her, he assures her that he never truly loved Allison the way that he loved Miranda. He loves Miranda.
Mm-hmm.
and he broke up with Allison the second that Miranda called, and Miranda's like, you didn't have to do that. And it's like,
well, he did.
what did you want him to do, Miranda? But whatever, right? I'm sorry, I'm like mad at her at this episode.
Yeah, she's
And
definitely rough, this one.
yeah, and Miranda tells him like, you didn't have to do that, and he's like, well then, why did like like why? Anyways, yeah, I'm so confused by that notion of like, I've seen
Yeah.
you in a relationship and I called you to go on a date. We had sex and like I don't expect you to end your relationship. Like, anyways,
Whatever.
yeah, no. But basically, Skipper's just like, oh yeah, no, I was so excited to hear from you. I was still having sex and I didn't even notice.
Again, a moment of silence for Allison.
Jesus Christ.
All right.
That must. Mm. And Miranda freaks out because she's like, that is insane. That's crazy. Why would you do that?
Now she freaks out.
Yeah. And she's just like very adamant, like, I'm not here to start a relationship with you. And then Skipper flips out, rightfully so. And it's just like, what the hell? Like, I just ended my relationship to come back to you. And I love what he says to her. He says, I'm not your private stud horse, Miss Dial-a-Fuck.
He humbles her ass.
Shout out to every person who's ever been used like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
that
hurts when you get used for sex like that. And it's literally
always
because she wanted him because someone else had him, and that is all it was. So Skipper lost out on this beautiful woman, Allison, who was very interesting and loved him because he go chase that shit. But it really does kind of like pull in that like idea of like infatuation and how bad it can be. Like I don't know if you remember in the female sex episode where Carrie mentions that she was worried that Miranda's sexuality would overpower Skipper.
Yes.
It did.
It did.
But he tells her he's tired of being jerked around and he hopes that she finds what she's looking for. And, just...
Good for him for saying that shit, too. Because it's like, communicate it and we're done. Screw off. Like, I can't believe you.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah. Like, that's fucked up.
Do we ever see Skipper after this?
Mm-hmm.
Do we? Okay. I was like, I know he does have an exit. He does. He's not going to be a recurring character. I think we do mention that.
I think
at least
has one more episode after this, and it's like quite a bit later. Like she runs.
I don't think he's in the second season.
I don't remember for sure.
Yeah,
but we will get there.
Yeah.
And so we pan over next scene to Charlotte on her date with the blowjob guy and Butterscotch. And, so this guy tells her that she is everything he's ever wanted in one woman, all wrapped up that he's never had before. Brains, taste, and class. And mind you, the dog is like really close in the scene. Like she's like right there as they're having this moment.
They're sitting on the edge of the bed and the dog's like right by their feet.
Yeah.
Which, like, honestly, I mean, that's just some dogs. They're clingy. Like, look at this. Like, talk about clingy.
And, yeah, no, they start to make out again, and he immediately starts doing the head pushing.
He starts doing the head pushing.
Again, immediately. And, she pulls his hand off her head and is like, stop. Like, and he's like, what's the problem? And she puts her foot down and she's just like, I'm not gonna do this. And he tries to like convince her, saying that she'll get used to it. And she says, no, I won't. I never
Yeah.
have. And I was like, good for you,
Yeah,
girl.
at this point, I mean, Charlotte's what, we're like 33, 34. Yeah, you don't, you're going to convince a woman who's in her like early mid 30s, like that she's going to like something.
Yeah.
No,
And then
no,
he like threatens her. He's like, not in like a physical way, but he's just saying,
right.
you know, I plan on getting a lot of blowjobs in the future.
Are you going to be there for that? That's what
Yeah.
he says, right?
Yeah. And no, 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 no. He doesn't say that. She's like, what does that mean? He's like, well, if I don't get him from you, I'm going to have to find him somewhere else.
Oh, that's what he says. So
Yeah.
basically, he's like, if you're
Hey,
not doing this,
you
like,
don't do
we're,
it, I'll cheat on you. Like,
yeah,
that's nasty.
of
And
course that is.
and she asks him, so you're willing to give up the woman of your dreams, the future mother of your children, the perfect woman, all for a blowjob?
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, to be fair, I feel like you should be able to like if that is a part of
If
his
that's a
ideal,
requirement,
yeah, if that's part of his idea
yeah,
of dream woman, then that's fair. Then she isn't everything he ever wanted. But
right.
it's so okay to say no, and it's okay to end the relationship over that. Like they were perfect in
Absolutely.
every way except that, and that is a valid reason to break up.
And that's usually how it happens, right? Sometimes you line up and you're like, oh, everything's perfect. And it's one really important thing. And then I think a lot of people try and fight for that. And they're like, no, it can happen. It can work. It can work. I promise you, if it's that important to you and no one wants to budge, it's not going to work, No,
Yeah.
despite how compatible you are.
In every single other way.
Mm-hmm.
But problems have a way of resurfacing if they're never dealt with, and
Absolutely.
it will come back up. But they decide to end it, and it's okay though because Butterscotch is happy. They mentioned that Butterscotch is happy because she is back in her monogamous relationship with her dad, the guy that.
Yeah, she gets to be back on the bed. That's
Yeah,
what's going to happen.
yay, Butterscotch.
Yay, Butterscotch.
And then we have Samantha and her real estate agents, and it all comes to a head. We have Samantha touring an apartment at midnight. It just dropped that night at midnight. They're probably there at like 12:05 or something. And he's just showing her around, and like moment of silence for Samantha's outfit here. One of the best of the entire series.
Oh.
And oh my god, the best. She has her iconic hair. She
Mm-hmm.
has gold accessories. She has on a red tight dress with little cap sleeves and that like square neckline.
Yep.
And
The style
yeah,
I replicate
that's exactly
all the time now. It's
yeah,
my favorite cut. And it wasn't because of Samantha, like crazy enough. I just like put it on one day in the winter and I was like, oh, how flattering,
yeah,
And then as I rewatched the show again, I was like, holy crap, those are like, that's like what Samantha's wearing. And I
yeah,
realized how that came around again. And you're like, damn, the style really did resurface almost 30 years later. Like, this is a very popular style of dress now, especially because of TikTok. TikTok sells like everything, right? And like this is a popular dress to buy off of them and like multiple colors and shit. Like I have like 3 colors now. So absolutely. I should get a red one though.
yeah. You should.
Yeah.
And her little Mary Jane shoes with it and the sheer black
So cute.
tie it all
Sheer
together.
black tights. Mm,
Mm,
classic.
love them.
Just classic.
They begin to make love as per usual, and they drop the top part of Samantha's dress, so it looks like she's just wearing a skirt. And he's behind her, and they're making out and stuff, and then the door opens, and in comes her other real estate agent.
Oh no.
And I fucking love this line. Her real estate agent is pissed. She has this couple behind them, and there's Samantha topless with another real estate agent in the apartment. And the man, like, doesn't know what to do, so he grabs her boobs and covers her nipples with his hands.
Like a
And
gentleman.
like a gentleman. And the real estate agent is pissed, and she's just like, I can't believe you were working with another broker. And
She
in this
says.
exact tone, without missing a beat, Samantha's like, I can't believe you weren't going to show me this apartment.
Honestly, slay.
Like, we love Samantha, and they leave. Samantha continues to fuck the real estate agent. And I'm pretty sure this is the apartment she ends up getting. Isn't it?
It's the meatpacking district apartment, right?
No.
No, that's another one. Oh, that's later. JK.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
But anyways, so we come to the final scene of the episode, and it's 2 a.m. and Carrie is, fucking around with Jared. She's like, not really, like, she's just flirting, getting validation from him, like, just, and then he asks her, like, can I take you home tonight? She's like, I'm gonna go make a phone call. And so she goes to the payphone,
Hell
and
yeah.
she calls Mr. Big, and she starts telling him about how she's out at this fabulous nightclub with fabulous people who are all beautiful and under 30. And he's like,
Carrie.
where are you? Like, well, come and get me or something. And he's like, I don't know where you are. So she tells him to meet her there, and she's even being kind of bitch about it. She's like, well, meet me out front because your name's not on the list. Like,
it is kind of presumptuous of him though, because he did say in that conversation, he's like, quit playing around, just come here. He got very demanding with her too. He says that. He's like, quit jerking around, like, and just get over here. He literally says that to her.
Do you feel like that's, like, fair at all, though, considering she stormed out of the party they went to together?
No.
No?
It's definitely not. They're both being toxic. They're both being... It's her being like, nah, and it's him being like, nah, quit your shit, get over here. Yeah, it's that dynamic. Yeah. It's the cat and mouse thing at play. And it's just like, that's all they are right now. All it is like a freaking power struggle between the two of them. It's insecure and not. It's just rough.
So he meets her there. He finally figures out where she's at. It's 3 a.m. And jeez. Yeah. And she basically, like, she kind of goes on this tangent with him, and ultimately she's like, I finally found someone that I want to stand still with. Don't you want to stand still with me? I finally found someone that I feel like is the one. Don't you feel the same way about me?
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't respond.
Mm-mm.
He puts his arm around her and stands still with her. And it's like, in one way, how romantic. In another way, he didn't do a goddamn thing.
No, I'm like, bitch, say something.
Yeah.
I am not...
You communicate about anything.
I'm the type to poke. I'm like, fucking say something. Like, what are you thinking? Like, I can't read your literal mind right now. I may look like a vampire. I promise you I'm not. I cannot read your fucking mind. You need to speak up. Huh?
I was joking. I said I still don't believe you're not a vampire.
I'm just gonna hide my bat tattoo.
Like, hide this garlic bread. Anyways,
oh god.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we leave the episode.
Side note, that dress she's wearing, don't you have the similar dress too? You just wore it. That silvery cowl neck, That's
Yeah.
almost the exact same dress. Isn't
Ah,
that funny? We're both wearing dresses very similar to the characters on the show in this
that's
episode
really
specifically.
yeah.
How
Huh.
cute.
It's funny how fashion revolves like that.
I
Um,
love that. I love that.
the,
I've heard that. Like my grandma used to say that all the time. She said, Bella,
yeah.
fashion always comes back around. She said, styles always come back. Like you see it emerge in a new way. And like, she's like, she loved it. And then now, obviously throughout life now, I can see that. And I'm like, how cool. Like that really does happen.
Oh
So
yeah. The
it's
most wild
beautiful.
part of that for me is like the period of time that my life came in. So like the looks that I remember as a child seeing the older kids wear are the same looks that I am now seeing the teenagers wear now.
Yeah. The
That is
early 2000s is very popular right now.
yeah, I love
Especially during summers. I feel like in summers it's very like Lizzie McGuire and I'm so here for it.
the look.
Like I don't that's not my style, but dude, I love when people pull that shit off though. I love it. I want to dress like Paris Hilton, man. I really do. Oh,
That's
I just can't pull off. I can't do low-rise jeans. I'm not built for that. Mm-mm.
me like trauma flashbacks to the early 2000s.
Oh God.
Ugh, on that note, thank you so much for joining us today.
That's the end of
Yeah,
episode 7.
we would love to hear all of you guys' views on monogamy and what that means to you. So, do you believe in monogamy, but you can have sex with prostitutes? Do you just not exchange fluids and phone numbers? Do you
Yeah,
only give head to get head? You
very
know,
curious.
these are the questions we want to know the answers to.
I feel like this is a hard topic to talk about, though, too. I feel like this day and age, people make it really difficult to talk about monogamy, and I find that really
Yeah,
interesting. So, if you're comfortable sharing, like always, I feel like every episode, if you're comfortable sharing any kind of feedback, any kind of question, please do. We love
yeah.
it.
Do you think
Always,
that
always,
monogamy
always.
is to expect?
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. We can go on for hours, obviously, about the
Yeah.
whole monogamy shit. But yeah, so that was season 1, episode 7, The Monogamist. We got through it. Here we are. We are now officially over the hump of the halfway through the season. Um,
Wow.
so very exciting. I know we are
Yeah.
almost there. There's 12 episodes, like we said last time. So we're getting there. We just have a few more weeks, the next four weeks, and then we're gonna be already on to season 2. This is so exciting. But
So
yes,
great.
thank you again so far for all of the support, all of everything you guys have been doing, any shares, any likes, any views, any listens. It's really nice. It's just really nice seeing it and any kind of support and any kind of comments too. Like people like comment on something I post or like they'll comment on my personal and be like, I watch it. I'm like, oh, I'm like,
Means
really?
a lot.
It really makes our day. It's kind of like, because like we can essentially just be talking to each other like we normally do. So then when we hear that people are actually listening, we're like, oh my God, thank God. We're like, how cool. Like this is what we wanted. We wanted the shared experience. We wanted the community. So it's been really awesome. Like always, we just always very, very appreciative. Any feedback is definitely welcomed as we continue the show. Um, but yeah, so here we are. Anything else you want to add before we take off for this week?
Mm, maybe you're on your knees, but you got him by the balls.
Oh, love that. End it with a good Samantha line. But yeah,
Got
definitely. So we will be
it.
back for next week for season 1, episode 8. So we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Love you guys.